Good evening, everyone. This week's parsha is Parshas Vayigash, Tavshin Pei Beis. I'd like to dedicate tonight's learning in memory of my mother, Mrs. Shalamas Rabinowitz, Shalamas Bas Rabbi Yaakov Eliezer, and dedicate this class as a sechus, as a merit for Refuah Shalema, for a speedy and complete recovery for Rina Bas Rachel Shifra. In this week's parsha, Yosef reveals himself to his brothers, and then the brothers return to Yaakov to tell them that Yosef's still alive. And when they tell him that, it says that he didn't believe them right away. Then Perek Memhei Pasuk Chavav, chapter 45, verse 27 reads, Vayidaru Elav, as Kol Divrei Yosef asher diber aleihem. They told him that Yosef had said to them, Vayar es ha'agalois asher shalach Yosef laseis oisei. Yaakov saw the wagons that Yosef had sent to carry him. And the spirit of Yaakov, their father, came alive. There is something about seeing these wagons that made Yaakov come alive. That's what the verse seems to imply. So Rashi says that in this, with these agolos, with these wagons, Yaakov understood a message that Yosef had sent to him. Siman Masar Lahem, Shapirish Mimenu, Hayois Raparish Egla Rufa. By sending the wagons, that reminded Yaakov, or Yosef was reminding Yaakov, that he still remembered the last subject of Torah that they discussed. And that is the subject of Egla Arufa. Now, Egla Arufa is the following. Egla Arufa, the Torah tells us if a person is found dead in between two cities, and we do not know who killed him. So the Torah obligates the city that is closer to the dead body to go through a process of atonement, and they take an eglah, they take a calf, they break its neck, and they say, and they declare their innocence, that they did not cause this person's death, and that's what's called eglah rufa, the mitzvah eglah rufa. So by sending the wagons, which alos, which don't mean calves, but they are related to the word. Egel is singular. If you want to know more, and the word and the word, I'm trying to think of plural, how you say calves in Hebrew plural. But agalos are wagons. The word agalos clearly has the word egel in it, and that is how he sent them this message to show him that he remembered the last subject of Torah that they discussed together. So the commentary of Das Sikanim adds more to this Rashi. This Rashi is based on a medrash, and the Das Sikanim gives a little bit more elaboration to what went on. And my understanding is that this elaboration is really about, my understanding is that it's really explaining, all right, so this was the last subject they studied. Is it random? They just happened to have studied this subject as the last subject, or was there something more to it? So the Dasikain, this is what Rashi means. Now we know that in Parshas Vayeshev, the Torah describes that Yaakov sent Yosef to check on his brothers. When Yosef left his father, was about to leave his father, Yaakov was escorting him. He was walking with him as he left. It says that Yaakov sent him, and the word sending implies not just sending, but sending off, which means you escort the person a bit as they are leaving. Yosef says to his father, you don't have to do this, you can go back. Yaakov said to Yosef, Beni, my son, escorting someone is a very important thing. Because of this concept of escorting, there is a whole parsha, a whole section of the Torah that deals with this. As I mentioned before, when the elders of the city have to bring the Eglah Arufa, they declare Yodenu lo shavchu. Yodenu lo shavchu. Our hands did not spill this blood. They make a declaration. We did not spill its blood. So the question is, would anybody think that the members of the rabbinical court of that city, they are the leaders, that they're the ones who killed him, and they have to say we didn't kill him? It means we did not see him and allow him to leave without escort. But if it would have been that they would have seen him and they did not escort him out of town, it's that the Torah considers it as if they spilled his blood. That's what it means that they were studying the portion of Egla Arufa. It was this very important part of the mitzvah of Egla Arufa. The idea that when you send someone off, that you should escort them, which is something that they have to declare, the elders have to declare by the Egla Arufa that they did that. That's what it means that they had studied. The last thing they studied was Egla Arufa. Not because that was just what they happened to be learning, but it was a pertinent issue to what was going on. Yaakov was escorting Yosef. Yosef says, Father, no, you don't need to do that. And Yaakov says, of course I do. The Torah considers it very important. Okay. But let's still try to figure out, what was Yosef trying to message to his father? Was he just trying to tell his father, was he trying to prove, if you think it's not me, maybe I'm some kind of imposter, I'll show you. Because we was just you and I when I left, and I would know what was the last thing that we discussed. So it must be me. Is that the point here? Is that the whole point I was trying to make, or is there something more? And the answer that's given is that Yosef was trying to send Yaakov a very important message. Trying to send a very, very important message. Yosef's brother said to Yaakov, Yosef's still alive. And it says Yaakov didn't believe it. When he saw the wagons, that's when he believed. Yosef understands that if the brothers say to their father, Yosef's alive, that's not something that's impossible for Yaakov to believe. Okay, he's still alive. The issue is not, is Yosef still physically alive? The issue is Yosef still spiritually alive? Is his neshama still alive? Or has it been deadened by being the ruler of Egypt, by becoming such a part of the depraved Egyptian society? And it was a very depraved society. What happened to Yosef? What was he like? Fine, he's alive. But what kind of a life is he? How alive is he? Is he truly alive? Is the neshama still alive? So Yosef was imparting a message to his father that I am still truly alive. Although I am here in Egypt all these years, I'm the viceroy, my neshama is still alive. How did you send him that message? So now let's go back to the Parsha of Egla Arufa. Let's go back to that addition that the Das Kana makes to Rashi and try to gain some understanding to this concept of the escorting. The halacha is that when you escort a person, when they're leaving, how much do you escort them? And the answer that's given is Dalet Amis, 4 cubits. It's about 8 feet. What does that do? It's one thing if, really, walk them all the way home, protect them all the way. But you all you have to do is the minimum amount that could be necessary is Dalet Amis, 4 cubits. That's not much. What does that do? So the Maharal explains that what this escorting is meant to do is that the person is leaving the community. Person's leaving the person's home. He's leaving the city. He's leaving the community. So those who are now going to escort him are telling him that although you're leaving us, you're still one of us. Our hesitancy or the fact that you're leaving, but we still go along with you, is a message to say, you may be leaving us, but you're still part of us. We consider you one of ours. And now when he lands up going on the road by himself, he feels he's part of a community. He's not alone. He's part of a community. He carries the community with him. And the importance of that, which is the understanding of why the whole escorting is important, in the context of Eglah Rufa, as it says, if they wouldn't escort him, they could be held responsible for his death, is because this person was attacked. And a person, to protect themselves, has to muster the strength and the courage to do so. How a person feels about themselves can make the difference as to how much effort will they put into trying to protect themselves. If you're down on yourself, if you feel alone, then you're not going to stand up. You're not going to have that inner strength like you do if you're part of something. So if they did not escort him, if they didn't make him feel that he's still part of them, then they can be held responsible to a degree that they didn't give him that encouragement and that strength to stand up for himself, to feel good about himself, that he would stand up for himself enough to protect himself. That's the importance of the levaya, of the escorting. That when the person finds himself all alone, that he carries the community that he left with him, because the community shows them, although you're leaving us, we still consider you part of us. You're still part of us. So the person doesn't feel alone. He feels part of a community. And with that, he feels strengthened and encouraged. Yosef told Yaakov that he remembered that message. When his father went ahead and escorted him, Yosef says, you are telling me that although I'm leaving your home, I'm part of your home. I'm part of your family. I'm part of your community. And Yosef says, I understood that lesson and I carried it with me. Through all my years in Egypt, I always knew that I'm not alone. I always knew that I'm always going to be part, that I am still part of Yaakov Avinu's family. And by understanding that, although he was all alone, but he knew what he was always part of, from that he found the strength to be able to spiritually survive. We know that in Parshas Vayeshev, the Torah tells us that Yosef's master's wife tried to seduce him. And the Torah records how Yosef held himself back. But the Talmud says that he almost broke. The Talmud says that Yosef was about to break. But then it says he saw the image of his father in a window. And that's what got him to stop. Because Yosef carried his father's image with him. And perhaps we can say, according to this medrash, he carried his father's image with him because of that escort that his father gave him, that his father told him, even when you leave us, you're still part of us. Little did Yaakov know what that was going to mean. But Yosef said, at the end, it meant a lot. It's what kept me going. It's why I'm still truly alive. Because I always knew that even though I'm all alone, I am still part of your home. I am still part of your family. I know who I am. And that is how he found the strength to be able to survive all those years. And therefore, he's truly alive. And when Yaakov saw that Yosef sent him that message, that he remembers Eglah Rufa, he remembers that last encounter, that last Torah discussion that they had, then Yaakov could believe that Yosef's truly alive. Truly alive. His neshama is still alive. So this carries some very important lessons. Number one, however way it may be, we should always try to impart to a person that they're always one of us. They're always part of our community. We have you in our hearts, and you should carry us in our hearts because we're always one. And when a person knows that he's part of a community, that there are people who care about him, it makes all the difference in the world to someone. When a person, chas v'shalom, sits shiva, people come to comfort. What they're really telling the person is, you're not alone. We're here for you. When you escort a person when they leave your house, you're trying to say to them, we really enjoyed you having here with us. As you leave, we still want to be connected to you. And the point being that you're always part of us. And that's a very important thing for a person to feel, that they're not alone, that they're part of a community. And we also see how when a person, realizes who they are and where they truly belong, what they're truly part of, that even in a hostile environment, they never forget who they are. And that's from where they find the strength to remain who they should be. In Yosef's case, it was remembering who his father was. But it means that we always need some kind of an anchor. That even when we find ourselves not in the regular environment, we have some kind of an anchor that reminds us, it keeps us remembering who we really are. That can happen from Torah study. That people who have a regular time, they have a regular schedule, routine to learn, not just haphazard once in a while, but they have Torah study as a part of their schedule, a part of their life. It's what helps, it gives them a strength to realize who they are. So that even when they go out to work or wherever it is, and they're not in the most Torah-oriented atmosphere, they have something that reminds them, that keeps them anchored, to make them realize, I'm a Jew. I live with Torah. I live with Hashem. And therefore, I do things differently. Again, in Yosef's case, it was his father's image, remembering where he belonged, especially in the situation he found himself. But we all have to find that way, that even when we're not in a Torah-oriented atmosphere, that we don't forget who we are. To always remember who we are as Jews. And Torah study has that unique power. To always to give us that moral strength, that connection, so that we don't forget who we are wherever we may be. And so that our neshamas, under all circumstances, can be alive and well. A wonderful Shabbos. Sorry about that.